So what is up, everybody? This is going to be interesting because it's... Look, I'm recording this on a Wednesday, normally at this time, especially at race, but for the last two races, it's just been very unlucky, and the last two races are short tracks, and I don't really at least feel like running the paperclip this year, just because the racing's not been up to par. Anyway, though, I'm excited because, well, it gives me a chance to talk about something different. Gives me a chance to, I don't know, change it up. Um, I want to talk or bring up, or not even bring up, but I'm going to start a podcast, and it is going to be the Vancouver Canucks podcast. And of course, it's going to start off with this episode right here. Hopefully, I can put together a nice little preview of it all and really just have a nice little title screen, then move into it. But this is our first scuffed episode of it, and I'm very proud to bring this to you all, covering all things Vancouver Canucks hockey. And, well, it's going to be fun. Because I can tell you one thing, this season's going to not only be a roller coaster of just emotions for every one of the Vancouver Canucks fans, but it's just, I don't know, it's going to be something special when this team not only does well this season, makes the playoffs this season, and then next year, of course, goes on and just gets 3 times better. But that's where we kind of start off of what was supposed to happen. I want to start this off kind of with just this year, Vancouver Canucks find themselves winless in the first 6 games of the season. I believe 0-4-2 with 2 ties, and then of course you have OTLs. Overtime losses, you get 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie in regulation, and 0 points for a loss just in general, especially after overtime. So you at least get a point if you tie. But the Vancouver Canucks find themselves winless in their home opener. Found themselves only down by, I believe, 1 goal. Let me triple check that real quick. But it was just crazy to see the downfall, the immaturity, the team that was upset, basically. 5-1 in the end. So the Vancouver Canucks actually did find themselves, I believe, down 1 goal, 2-1 at one point in the game. And then, yeah, the Vancouver Canucks found themselves down a goal. It was 2-0 Vancouver Sabres in the first. And then in the second period, Vancouver Canucks got a goal. So the Buffalo Sabres actually scored 2 goals. And then the Vancouver Canucks got a goal and came back. And it was looking decent for the start of the third period. Then Vancouver weren't able to really get control of the puck and have opportunity, so they were chasing behind. And it was a big goal for the Buffalo Sabres that ended up not being a goal called back. So it felt like Vancouver had a lot of momentum on their side. And this was from their first home opener, which was in game 5. But then found themselves, or game 6 actually, found themselves losing. So, yeah, it was game 5. Found themselves still losing by at least a goal, and then the Sabres came back, instantly scored, and they got credit for that goal, and it was 3-1, then 4-1, and then 5-1. I kind of exited when it was about 4-1, because there wasn't a lot of time left, and then apparently I've seen videos of it and things afterwards got really ugly. A fan threw their Vancouver Canucks jersey onto the ice, and just things were bad, and fans booing and all that, which, yes, isn't like you shouldn't do that technically, but this is frustration from basically all years and years of just mediocrity. And this isn't mediocrity, this is just bad. And it's weird because it brings me to this topic, and I want to start off with it. 2019-2020 Vancouver Canucks. And what was this team? This team was something special, considering that I was a fan. Starting in 2018, this is when I really started to follow the Vancouver Canucks, was in 2018. So 2018-2019 season, I watched them a lot, and they were a fun team to watch. They just missed the playoffs, but they had a lot of the players like Pettersson, or what he even says is Peterson. So it's Elias Peterson, funny enough. But this was a great team on that roster. So this was from, February 1st of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even 2019, but JT Miller, Sven Berchi, Justin Bailey, Jay Beagle, Jordy Ben, Brock Besser, Thatcher Demko. Of course, at this time, Thatcher was on the bench. He was behind Jacob Markstrom, which Markstrom is a big name that I want to get into as well. Don't know why Vancouver decided to not keep him, and they let him go to a different team, which is just very, very frustrating. I've got that, Mike Furland, Oscar Fenberg, Louis Eriksson, just a lot of these guys. Tyler Toffoli, I believe that all those were on the bench, though. Not Tyler Toffoli. But either way, you get into the scoring regular season. JT Miller, Elias Peterson, Bo Horvat, Quinn Hughes, Tanner Pearson, Brock Besser, Jake Virtanen, Adam Gaudette, Alexander Edler, Tyler Myers, Chris Taney, Josh Levo, Brandon Sutter, Troy Stetcher, Anthony Roussel, Louis Eriksson, Tyler Toffoli, Tyler Mott, Jay Beagle, Jordy Ben, Zach McEwen, Tim Schaller, Oscar Fettenberg, Michael Furland, Tyler Greivik, Sven Berchi, Jacob Markstrom, Justin Bailey, Thatcher Demko, Michael DiPietro, Louis Dominique, Mikolov Goldobin, and Ashton Sotner. I named all of those players for a reason. Yes, Jacob Markstrom, Thatcher Demko, Michael DiPietro, and Louis Domingue were the goalies. But this was such a big deal because Jacob Markstrom started for the Vancouver Canucks for most nights. You would only have Thatcher Demko fill in a couple of times. So Markstrom was a big savior for the Vancouver Canucks throughout the season, helping this team get a lot of their wins in the end, especially coming off of shootout victories, which was common for Vancouver, especially in the 2019-2020 season, not only in 2018 as well. So when you brought into 2020, basically, of course, things changed. The pandemic happened, and then the Vancouver Canucks in the bubble also got hot once again, which seems very common for this team to get hot. We'll get even further into that when we talk about the 2020-2021 season, before we even touch up upon these 6 games for Vancouver Canucks in the 2022-23 season. Yeah, it's basically, coming off of that. I guess 21, 22. Yeah, there have been a couple of seasons since 2019-20. But the most important thing, like I talked about, was just the transfers. Because last year you bring in Seattle Kraken, which was 2021-22 season. But yeah, having 31 teams, and it was exciting. But the thing that I truly still don't get is why one of your best goalies, one of your best goaltenders to tend the goal, you give away, which was Jacob Markstrom. Markstrom had incredible numbers in my eyes. And it was frustrating. It seemed like they constantly did that. And the best thing that I remember from that 2019-2020 season, in 2020 when they were in the pandemic, and I was watching all those games, especially when they were on NBCSN, which was very, very average coverage, considering of how well ESPN's doing with them marketing the NHL and having all the games on ESPN Plus, which is just ginormous. It was crazy to also see when they would go in to not only the NBCSN studios, but hear about what all the analysts were saying about Vancouver. It's like they're a young team right now, and they can only get better, as it seems, as long as they keep this core group. Well, it turns out that core group kind of changed. Vancouver Canucks, again, like I said, a lot of these players have stayed. But you get rid of leadership like Jacob Markstrom and put Thatcher Demko behind goal for a couple of years after that. Made it very, very difficult for this team to get to where they were wanting to go. Last year was a very difficult year for me as a Canucks fan, just in general, because I saw this team grow and grow and then have an uneventful year and missing the playoffs. And that was tough for me to watch because they had this opportunity to be able to go back-to-back into the playoffs and make a run. And to have this opportunity, they had the team. Again, I'm naming key players that are very, very good, that are all-stars, and you can even technically make this team better. I mean, Quinn Hughes, great player. Yes, he was out for a couple of games. Well, look at this. JT Miller, the best point scorer in 2019-2020 season, with 72 points. His plus-minus was 11. Elias Peterson's plus-minus was 16, and he had 66 points. Bo Horvat, 53. Quinn Hughes with 53 as well. And then Tanner Pearson with 45. And Brock Besser with 45 points. So those were good numbers. Like, good. And they could get even better with this team just basically gelling together more. And, I mean, coach was great, too. You have this general manager that cared. And you had coach that actually cared a little bit more, too. And was looking for just positivity. Like I said, Travis Green was good. And then this is what I also liked was the way that the playoffs were formatted that year because of the pandemic. In the first year, or in this whole pandemic year, the first round was a qualifying round, technically. And Vancouver Canucks won, beating Minnesota 3-1. 3-1 to be exact. So it was only a best of 5. Then you go back to a best of 7. The first round was won by Vancouver 4-2. And then the second round, Vancouver Canucks lost to the Vegas Golden Knights 4-3. So that was, of course, the pandemic year. You go to 2020, 2021, and it was kind of a different year for the Vancouver Canucks. Because, again, you had that opportunity to be this better team, sort of. in the Pacific Division. I kind of skipped actually 2020, but going to 2021, 2022, I think this is a key thing kind of to bring up. Yeah, we kind of skipped that year, but it was a bland year altogether, just like this. Now all of a sudden, for just the team, you have a different team in general. And all of a sudden, you give away Jacob Markstrom. But you keep Thatcher Demko, which is good. And then Jaroslav Halak, Spencer Martin, and Michael DiPietro are still your goalies. Well, at least DiPietro and Thatcher are still there. You get it. You get Halak and Spencer Martin. I think Spencer Martin wasn't there. I'll probably look back at this and say, you dumb man, because you said it not too long ago that player was there before. So it's just one of those frustrating things where you get rid of key players. Well, guess what? Coach gets fired this year. Travis Green gets fired. He goes 8-15-2. And then Bruce Boudreau goes 32-15-10. What a difference. What a difference. And the Vancouver Canucks basically had to go undefeated at the end of that season because of that whole thing. But then let's name the players again. This year on the February 1st, you had Justin Bailey, Brock Besser, Madison Bowie. And right off the bat, you can tell it was different. It was a different team. Breeze Boyce, Kyle Burrows, Alex Chiasson, Thatcher Demko, Travis Sturmont, Jason Dickinson, Michael DiPietro, Justin Dowling, Sheldon Dries, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, still with the team today, Connor Garland, still with the team, Jaroslav Halak, Travis Hamonic, Matthew Highmore, Nice Hoglander, Bo Horvat, Quinn Hughes, Brad Hunt, Noah Jolson, Joel Lamico, William Lockwood, Spencer Martin, JT Miller, Tyler Mott, Tyler Myers, Tanner Pearson, Nick Pettin, Elias Peterson, Vasily, and it switched on me again, Vasily Podkozin from Russia, Tucker Pullman, Jack Rathbone, Sheldon Rempel, Brad Richardson, and Luke Shen. So it was a different team. It was definitely a different team, especially for 2021, 2022, and it's tough because that's what Vancouver felt that they needed, was a little bit of a revamp, even though they kept a lot of similar players. The difference was, let's look at the scoring from the regular season. JT Miller, 99 points. Elias Peterson, 68 points. Quinn Hughes had the same amount of points as Elias with 68 points as well. Bo Horvat, 52 points. Connor Garland, 52 points. Brock Besser, 46 points. Tanner Pearson, 34 points. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson with 29 points. 26 points with Vasily Podkolzin. Alex Chiasson, 22 points. But right off the bat, you can see that a lot of those guys that are the veterans of this team of Vancouver were able to keep that veteranicity, as I say, and be those team leaders when needed most by scoring those goals and keeping the defense at bay. The biggest thing that I've seen year in and year out from the time of 2018, my first ever season that I watched, which was, really 2019, 2020, sort of watched I really didn't watch 2018, 2019. I watched 2019, 2020. Was seeing that team and how they gelled and how, we were technically underdogs. But going forward into 2020, 2021, it was, different than them feeling like they had to rebuild that year. Then all of a sudden having this and how they were able to get behind a coach, which was insane. Yes, this season's only 6 games in, but there's a lot, and I mean a lot, that needs to be improved. This team had already changed. Thatcher was your main goalie, and it was a tough season to watch in the regular season too. And it still felt like there needed to be, the Vancouver Canucks were missing a key player, key piece to make them go to the next round or something like that. And we'll see if any teams this year bite on it. And this gets me to this season. What we're talking about, what we're here talking about, is the first 6 games for 2022, 2023. Vancouver Canucks have been an interesting team, to say the least. Because I go back to their schedule this season, and it was not the easiest schedule to start off a season with, but it was not the toughest schedule to start off with either. These teams were beatable. I say were because all the games from the first 6 games are over, are done and dusted. Starting off the season, Vancouver Canucks heads into Edmonton to play the Oilers. A lot of all-stars on that team because, of course, you have one of the highlights, Connor McDavid, on that team. Vancouver rolls out to a 2-0 lead. Phenomenal start. 3-0. Heading to the third period, they give up. How many goals do they give up? 5. 5 unanswered goals. Of course, the end of it was 4-3. They emptied the net and ended up being the 5th goal for the empty netter. Vancouver then flies to Philadelphia to play on that Saturday. That was Wednesday of the October 12th. Saturday, the October 15th game. Canucks fly over to Philadelphia to play against the Flyers. What happens then? Vancouver leads 2-0. Looking great again. Gets tied 2-2. Third period comes along. 3-2 your final. Flyers win. Vancouver at this point 0-2. Canucks go to the capital of Washington, D.C. to play the Capitals. Vancouver lead. They even scored 4 goals this time. They lose 6-4. Canucks fly to Ohio to play the Columbus Blue Jackets. You get the picture. 4-3 final. Blue Jackets win. And Vancouver had the lead at one point. Then they go to Minnesota to head back home after that game. 4-3 your final. Minnesota Wild win. Then the most depressing game of the season so far. Vancouver Canucks at home playing their home opener against the Sabres. And it is 5-1 your final. Sabres destroy Vancouver in their home opener. The Canucks had the lead at one point at the start of the game. Or check that. They did not. They tied it up. And then the second goal actually happened from the Sabres. And then the Sabres scored again and just dominated the final period to win 5-1. Hurricanes get the job done 3-2 against the Vancouver Canucks for Vancouver's second home game this Monday. And that's a game where it was highly contested. But again, a lot of the goals not only have come from just Vancouver Canucks having poor defense, but they shoot themselves in the foot consistently. They are not only last place in power play, but last place in power play defense. The penalty kill and being able to take advantage off of penalties. Vancouver Canucks, very difficult to make their job very difficult to be able to score off of a power play, and then most of the times the puck goes into the back of the net during a power play against them, and it's tough. They start power plays up like literally 2 minutes into a game or something like that, and then they go down a goal. So all of a sudden they're chasing for the rest of the game. This team finds a way to quickly chase the game. Not only that, but in the second period, even if they're leading, they go into the box because of a stupid tripping call, a cross check. Something that, you got to show that you're ready for it. Some of those cross checks, I would say, NHL's gotten just a little soft, a little. I understand why those are there, but they've gotten a little soft, and it's very, very frustrating. We go into the 2022-2023 season. Right now, Bruce Boudreau finds himself 0-5-2. Again, 2 points. So a couple of those games that I named have come off of just overtime losses. And it is just very, very difficult right now for this season. 6 games in, they find themselves 30th out of 32 teams with goals against. Funny enough. Goals for have been 18 goals. They have not been doing too bad with goals for. That's the crazy part. Yeah, you don't want to be 18th for goals for, but considering half the time they lead 4-2 heading into the third period, not terrible. You're supposed to hold those leads half the time, but you can't. Team statistics with 5 injuries too. Let's remind ourselves that there are 5 players injured. 2 of them got injured in the last 2 games. So one of them was scratched for injury, which was Quinn Hughes, I believe, against the Blues. He was just about to play the Sabres, scratched against the Sabres. That was Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes looked like he was ready to play Monday night, gets scratched again because he just was not healthy enough just yet. So then, this is where things started to become an issue. It's just not being able to score goals. It's very difficult. This team is very, very young too. Niels Amon, 22nd, age 22. 25 is Brock Besser. 25 is Guillermo Brisebois. Kyle Burrows, 27, age 27. Thatcher Demko, 27. 31 is Oliver Ekman-Larsson, so he's getting up there. And Connor Garland, 26. So, yes, these players are at the age where this is supposed to be the peak of their career, just about. But no defense right now, and things need to change in a hurry. Things do need to change in a hurry, because they play against the Seattle Kraken. The Seattle Kraken have not been that good as of late, of course. They're still in their second year ever in this league, too. So they took the long approach of getting good in the long term instead of in the short term. Because if you get good in the short term, you're just not going to be good in general. it's frustrating so far. I know what needs to change is the defense needs to change, of course, because that's where all the goals have been coming. This team seems very immature and no leadership whatsoever. Bo Horvat and Elias Peterson lead in points with 7 and 6. JT Miller with 5. Quinn Hughes with 5 as well. Difference is Quinn Hughes has only played 5 freaking games. And he's 4th in points scored this season with 6 goals. Or with 6 games being played. 5 games, actually. Well, yeah, 5 games. Games played, they say 7. This is wrong. Because we're 0-4-2. So you've only played 6 games. Don't know where that 7th game has come from. Oh, 5-2. Let me just make sure. 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, 7 games. My mistake, I keep forgetting about the Hurricanes game. So yes, 0-5-2 is where they're at. I was wrong on that. I'm going to keep that in though. So we're 0-5-2, yep. And our best player only playing 5 games, just about. Which is Quinn Hughes, yeah. Because he's been hurt. And guess what? Vancouver only has 2 goalies this season. That is Spencer Martin and Thatcher Demko. For the scoring, though, I want to see the goals. Elias Peterson has 3. Bo Horvat has 4. JT Miller has 4 goals. 0 goals for Quinn Hughes. 0 goals for Brock Besser. Brock Besser's only played 6 games, too. He was out for one of them. I believe the most recent game, too. Tanner Pearson doesn't have a goal, but Connor Garland has 2. And he's only played 6 games. Niels Amon has a goal. Dakota Joshua has a goal. Or Emin. Andrei Kuzmenko has a goal this season. Vasily Podkolzin doesn't have a goal just yet, but Kyle Burrows does. And Curtis Lazard. That rounds out your goal scorers. And of course the assists are big. And a lot of players only have 1 assist so far this season, but have 4 assists like Tanner Pearson, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Brock Besser, 5 assists for Quinn Hughes, and he's again been out for 2 games. 1 assist for JT Miller, Bo Horvat has 2, and Elias Peterson with 4 assists. So it's very crazy to see that this team, statistically, you'd think, oh, we're not doing too bad. It's until you look at the defensive stats and the PK units that you start to understand the full picture. Now, I'm trying to find that myself at the moment because that is a big, big problem. I want to look at the free agents to see what type of players can basically, they can get. In the news right now, you have Getzlaf, Perry Ovechkin will be a free agent. That's what it looks like. But yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't know where Vancouver will go from here, being have lost every single game this season, but the only way is up. That's all I can really say. Vancouver should get a win soon. Should. Yeah, the advanced statistics for the skaters. Really, just the problem has been the defensive side and not being able to not only kill penalty kills, but just get goals back when they're up a man. They've had a couple of goals scored on them shorthanded, so it's where we rely on. This team needs veterans on the defense because the defensemen are not that we have right now aren't cutting it. Penalty killing unit right now aren't cutting it either. And Elias Peterson and all those guys are on that too, which guess what? For most of them, they're offensive players. We'll see where they can go against the Seattle Kraken as they play them tomorrow. Other than that, we'll have to find out. Thank you all so very much for watching and or listening to this. I'll try to come out with these best as I can. So yeah, see you all next time. Adios.